While the Supreme Court rendered some controversial decisions, to say the least, in the last term, with regard to democracy, there's some good news. They strengthened the guardrails around our democracy that are going to make elections more secure going forward. First, in a very important Voting Rights Act case out of Alabama, the Supreme Court, after eroding the Voting Rights Act for about a decade, said that erosion is over, that the Voting Rights Act still has meaning and it still protects minority voters. Specifically in that case, that Black voters in Alabama were entitled to not one but two districts where their voice could elect candidates that they chose to Congress because they were so numerous in the state of Alabama and lines had been drawn to exclude them. That's really important after the last decade of backsliding on the Voting Rights Act. And then secondly, in a really important case a lot of us were watching, a case called Moore versus Harper out of North Carolina, the Supreme Court was hearing arguments about this radical theory called the independent state legislature theory that was promoted by election deniers and supporters of losing candidates like the losing presidential candidate in 2020, that suggested state legislatures weren't subject to the checks and balances we all learned about in elementary school, that they could do whatever they wanted with regard to elections and even state courts couldn't review it. The Supreme Court, by a vote of 6-3, said no. State legislatures are still subject to the checks and balances we all rely upon. And when it comes to elections in the United States of America, if losing candidates come to the Supreme Court to ask them to be anointed the winner, the Supreme Court said, don't bother.